Bam!
I didn't know that this was a male-dominated sport. I go in there as a driver in general and drive my go-kart, and I want to go out there and win. I think that was good for me to start that way, to know that there wasn't really a difference. My dad always told me that you have one head, two hands, and 2 feet, and if you have all those, then you have everything you need to be a race car driver. So it doesn't make you any different than the guys out there, right? Go-karts were good because we were all so young and we all got along really well. And the girl factor really came in when I started getting into stock cars. And right off the bat, we were super competitive, and I won the championship my first year. I won races, I set track records. So it was great to do that and to go out there and kind of, for those younger girls, be like, you can do it too. If I can do it, you can do it. And just to help kind of pave that pathway for females in racing. But
did you have to deal with not only I hear some adversity there, but any haters, any people being mean, anybody giving you a hard time?
So with those wins, a lot of my competitors after the races in tech, they'd want to go inspect different parts of my car. They told me my shocks were illegal. I had illegal engine packages, because they wanted all these excuses because they didn't think that a 14-year-old girl could go beat these 20, 30, 40-year-old men in these race cars. And so nearly every race, somebody wanted to either claim a part of my car or inspect it harder than their car, just to try and find something that they could get me for because they thought I was cheating. And of course, they never found anything because we weren't. We're straight up racers. And so that was kind of hard, trying to get into that stock car world, and you just have all these people trying to find something to bring you down. And right. I'm just thankful for my support system, my family, who is kind of just ignore them because they're just trying to bring you down. The people that matter are the ones that you come to the racetrack with.
What would that look like? I mean, if you're 14-year-old girl at this time and you've got these grown men coming over and questioning you, I mean, you said you had a strong support system, but your dad and your uncle and if you have a brother, I think you mentioned, what's that? I mean, how do they not get super defensive on just telling them back off?
Yeah, right. They kind of had that family natural instinct, especially my dad and my brother are just kind of there to protect me. But I think it was also good for me to kind of get to see that for myself, because it helped me stand up for myself in the sport. And going through the years from 14 to now 21, you still see a little bit of that within the sport today. So I think having that experience helped me become the racer that I am today, because I know that to stand up for myself, and I know that despite if I'm male or female, that I belong in the sport.
Right. I think that's so cool that you were dealing with that at such a young age. I couldn't imagine being 14 and being told I don't belong or that I'm cheating when all I'm doing is trying to win. Right. So I'm sure that really gave you some thick skin that's helping you now in this game. Let's talk about, I thought was amazing is you won, I think, two years that you were the series champion in the late model cars, and you were the first female to do that, correct?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that, because I like bragging rights. I like awards and records, right? So let's talk about that.
Yeah. So growing up, my dad had always raced a super late model, so it was my dream to race one, and they're the most competitive series within the West Coast. You have guys like Kyle Busch who step down on the weekends or free weekends to race super late models. So I'm these things are my dream cars, and I get in one. The first year I was rookie of the year. We've been really close to those podium finishes. The second year I had that first year experience, so I had something behind me going into all those races, and we never gave up. We put everything that we could into that season. I drove my butt off every single race, and we got the first wins. We got those track records. We won the championship, and we became the first female to win even a race in a super late model on the entire West Coast ever. So wow. That was pretty cool, to have that with me going on with my career. And then to back it up the second year in 2018 just kind of was proves that we earned it the first year.
Wow, congrats. That's amazing.
It is amazing.
I've got a question. So, you had mentioned, some of the resource that it takes to really truly compete, right? And you guys are kind of a family run competitive car, right? So what happens when you see wrecks all the time, and what plays into that, and how do you crawl out of maybe that hole depending on how bad the wreck is?
Yeah. So I've had a few where, it's bad enough we have to replace the whole front end of the chassis. like I had a tire blow on me and I went straight into the wall, like over 100 miles an hour, and had to change. Yeah, I had to change the whole front end of the chassis, and that's where it comes. That's where it gets tough. That's where, that underdog theory comes back in, is because we race based off of my family's income, because it's so hard to get sponsors out here on the West Coast. So that's what we primarily race our super late model on. And so when you do get into a wreck like that, we come home, unload it in our little garage out in our backyard, and we take it apart. Like, I'm out there, my dad's out there, our family's out there repairing the car and doing what we have to get to the next race. And it's also a little bit different in the NASCAR world. Like within the NASCAR series, you have a team that kind of helps you do that for you. But so it's like two different ways of racing. But with the family run system, yeah, it's definitely us going out there and us taking the fenders off or redoing the wheel hubs and everything like that. We get down to the nitty gritty.
That's wild.
Who's your favorite race car driver? Besides your dad, obviously your dad, but besides your dad.
I gotta say, right now in the Cup Series, I really like Denny Hamlin.
Okay.
You have a picture with him, I saw.
I do, yeah, after his win last year in Phoenix.
He's a hot racer right now, isn't he? Is he number one, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, I think he's second, but he's right there neck and neck for first. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think he lives in Mooresville too. I think I've met him before. I'm not sure. I think we've met. We belong to the same country club, I think. So
okay.
I'm not big into racing. Like my wife grew up in racing in North Carolina, and I went a few times, and I got to drive a limo on the track one time because I was in the infield. But it's hard for me. I want to get into it, but there's not enough. When Earnhardt was in it, my dad watched it. I watched it. There's not enough realness. It seems, my opinion, it seems too much. It's corporate now. And there's too many things people are limited on. I like to see the real interaction. It seems to be coming back a little bit. Kyle Busch is one of my favorites, has a big mouth. I like that. He's honest, says how he feels, deals with it. I like that. But is it Bubba Wallace? We've got some minority race car drivers in there doing well. We've got some females in there, kind of diversifying the whole entire race spectrum. I think that's pretty cool stuff going on. And, I think we're doing a deal with IndyCar guy, Joseph Newgarden. I don't know if you know him. Yes. But, what would you say is the biggest difference in your driving stock cars and Indy cars? What would you say, since you're on this side of the spectrum, what is the biggest difference of that?
I don't know. That's tough because I've never been had the experience with an Indy car before. So I know the driving styles are a lot. Stock cars are big, heavy tanks, that you're trying to get around the corner and you just try to keep up speed because they're so heavy. So if you lose that speed, it's hard to get it back. So I'm not sure on that end of the spectrum with the IndyCar side of things, but I'm a fan. I love going to their races, and any type of racing, I'm there. I'll be watching it.
What's the fastest you've ever gone?
At Bristol last year, we went 155.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's a half mile, so that's pretty fast on a half mile.
That is fast.
Yeah.
So your goals right now, so you had to overcome some adversity with that, with people trying to hold you back, and it being a predominantly male, good old boy program, wherever you are, that's kind of what it was, and still kind of is. And, you've overcome that. You're very positive. You've had some great success, and you've kind of got that plan and mission there. But, what other things have been struggles for you? Where are some spots where you thought, you know what, I don't know if this is for me? Have you hit any of those things in your career where you start to second guess and you really got to grind and change your mindset?
Yeah. So as of being behind the wheel, I know that's what I want to do for a career. I want to go race on Saturdays and Sundays as my career. And getting to that point, it takes a lot of work. I feel like maybe some of it is still kind of that good old boy club. If you have the last name or, if you know the right people, then you're going to get in a lot easier. And that's kind of it kind of brings you down a little bit. You're like, dang, what do I need to get to that next level? And it's millions of dollars, and with our family budget, trying to get into the Xfinity series and, really just advance your career, it's really hard. You have to sell yourself as a driver. You have to prove what you've done. You go in there and you say, this is what I can do for you. This is what we can do as a team. This is how we can benefit each other. And it's a beneficial partnership when you get with a sponsor and you go out there and you have their name on the side of the car and just things you can do for them. But it's that in-between work. It's when you take the helmet off and you go home and you're working on getting those sponsorships, and you'll get 100 no's before you get even a maybe or a yes, you know?
Building a movement, baby.